So in a school system, for example, would they approach the auditor's office for a grant or some sort of funding for a turbine, an energy, a better energy efficiency program?
They wouldn't actually approach the auditor's office for that. You mean under my program? Either way, actually, they wouldn't approach the auditor's office. What they would approach the auditor's office for my program, it would be to have an energy audit performed. So for a pre-approved energy service company to come in, so they don't have to go through the RFP process. It's a pre-approved energy service company that they can select from a variety of vendors. It would be an open process so that more vendors can come in. It's a burgeoning technology, so we don't want to close that off. But they can choose their vendor to come in, perform the audit within, as you said, a school district. The energy service company, the ESCO, would then say you need to do X, Y, and Z, whether that's installing sensors so that lights automatically shut off, if it's sealing the windows, or if it's installing new ballasts in the lights so that they dim according to how much sunlight comes into the room. Things like that could range all the way up to new heating systems or replacing old boilers. And it's at that point that the energy service company and the town would enter into the performance agreement, where the capital is put forward by the energy service company, and the performance agreement is arranged so that the energy savings pay down that debt. Yeah, of course.
You mentioned earlier you were a special assistant for White House operations under President Clinton. What is that like, working in Washington? It's got to be different than working on the State House or some of the other endeavors. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. I'll tell you, it's, to this day, some of the best experiences I ever had. My typical day, John Podesta was chief of staff when I was there, and John and I, and sometimes others, would meet at 4:30 in the morning. And we'd actually go for a run around the monuments, have breakfast, shower, and by about 6, I'd be in my office. From 6 to about 8 a.m., I'd be doing paperwork. I was also procurement manager, so and the part that most people remember is I had the only White House credit card and did all the purchasing for the White House. So you can imagine the paperwork associated with that. So from 6 to 8, I would do that. By 8 o'clock, the president's schedule began, and my colleagues at the White House were there. So I spent from 8 to about 7 at night running around the White House, performing the many functions and duties that were required of me. And by that time, the schedule would slow down a little bit, and I'd return to my office and do paperwork from about 7 to 11. So I'd leave about 11 p.m., go home just long enough to get a little sleep, and return the next day. And I did that generally 6 days a week. Though Saturday night I'd go home, grab a box of crackers and a bottle of water, go to bed, and wake up Monday morning. I'd catch up on a bit of that sleep. So there were never 2 days that were the same at the White House. You never knew what was going to be happening. You never knew what fires needed putting out. By being responsible for the operations of the White House, you can imagine the problems that can occur, whether it's the computer system that went down, or well, actually, I'll give you an example of an efficiency that I created. When I was first at the White House, there was still fallout from post-Travelgate. Everybody remembers Travelgate, but oversimplified was that the new process that was implemented, everybody knew it was difficult, but every penny needed to be accounted for. And that ultimately resulted in sometimes having to send out 20 to 30 billing cycles per trip. So literally one media outlet could receive 20 or 30 bills for the same trip, each bill getting a little bit smaller, but every penny had to be accounted for. We were literally sending out bills for 7 cents, 11 cents. At the time, I think we were putting a 32-cent stamp on them. So everybody knew it was inefficient. I created a database that allowed us to eliminate that process and got us down to a 1 bill per trip cycle. that not only freed up staff time, but obviously prevented the recurrence of sending out all these bills and the wastage of postage, the waste of postage in the process.
When it comes to public service, who do you consider your role models?
Well, I've been fortunate to have a number of them. Certainly, former Governor Dukakis, I have great admiration and respect for. I think he is the personification of integrity. He served the state of Massachusetts, or the Commonwealth of Massachusetts well, and to this day he serves, and in many different capacities, obviously not elected. But I think I highlight him because I think that the office of the auditor is first and foremost about integrity. It's the auditor's responsibility to ensure the integrity of the government in this state. And I think there are few elected officials ever, anywhere, that could really stand up to Mike Dukakis. So he's definitely a role model.
I want to talk about some of your priorities, and these are priorities that I got off of your website.
Okay.
I was doing a little bit of reading today before
Good.
you came out. On your website, you write, I'm going to quote here, "I will use the power and resources of this office with maximum openness to ensure that audit recommendations are implemented with clear, transparent results accessible to all citizens of the Commonwealth." Specifically, how will you do that?
Well, I think there's already an opportunity to go onto the auditor's website and to see some of the audit reports, to see those recommendations. I just want to continue to expand that. I want it to be more known to the public, and to be proactive about people looking for it. As of right now, only people who are searching for something are looking are going to see it. So I want to make it a more proactive approach, so that any citizen knows that it's a resource available to them.
And this is a side, this wasn't one of the questions, but you mentioned people looking for things. Would the state's website come under your authority if you do an IT audit?
No, it doesn't. Actually, it's the Secretary of the Commonwealth is the Chief Information Officer in Massachusetts. So I don't have any opportunity to change the website.
Because
are you a fan?
No,
I think so.
There are things that are easy to find, and there aren't that many of them. There are lots of things on the website, and it's not that easy to find things.
It's good, though, however, that there is a lot on the website. There's improvements that may need to be made, but I give credit to those who made sure that information is at least out there. Step in the right direction.
Definitely a step. A few more steps to go, in my opinion.